What's going on, socialites? This is Now You Know. Now, child, it's starting to look like this situation between FTN Bay and her son and Doodie Lo is seemingly over, but it's not looking good for FTN Bay as new documents have come out regarding her son telling the truth or a lie, and lie detector tests have officially been completed. But before we get into this sensitive topic, make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube channel and make sure that you have your post notifications turned on so you never miss another upload. So the truth has finally come out in the case of Doodie Lo and FTN Bay, as she accused him back in November of 2021 of sexually touching her son in a very inappropriate way, and it's looking like FTN Bay's son lied about the whole incident. So before we get into these new details, let's give you a recap of what happened. However, we do want to put a disclaimer out because some of these things that you will hear during this episode of Now You Know, you might find disturbing. So as we said, back in November, FTN Bay took to Instagram calling out Doodie Lo, who is said to be her alleged ex-boyfriend, and said that he allegedly placed screws up the rear end of her 5-year-old son Wesley. Well, after all of that took place, Doodie Lo needed to get his side of the story out, and he took to Instagram denying the claim, saying that FTN Bay was lying. Well, lie detector tests have come out, and now the results are showing that Doodie Lo was telling the truth, but it gets even worse. So following the release of the results from Doodie Lo and FTN Bay's lie detector test, Bay hopped on Instagram with a public apology aimed at Doodie Lo, pretty much claiming that she was not aware that her son had lied about the situation.
I'm going to publicly apologize and say that, he finally took a lie detector test. It took a while. It didn't have to take so long. I never was trying to ruin his career or trying to get clout or nothing. I just believed my son. I really believed him. And I just was going to do whatever I could for my son. I was going to slide for my son, however that means. And he dealt with it in his own ways, but finally we came to an understanding and agreement, and he decided to take the test, and he did it, and it's done. It's over with. He passed his test. My son told the truth, and that's it.
Now, after this video went live, she hopped back on Instagram with some words about the whole apology situation, saying, "My hand was forced making that live. I had no choice. My son was questioned with David on the phone, and my son got scared and denied everything. If I didn't issue an apology, he would have released the audio and manipulated the story even more, and I'm genuinely tired. I was backed into a corner. As soon as I got off live, my son came in the room because he peed in his pants crying. He was so scared and confused." She then proceeded to play the video of her talking to the other child mentioned in the situation, a 3-year-old girl named Alex. So take a listen to this.
They did something.
What did he do?
He I saw Wesley run around, and then David was chasing him.
He was... All right, after you saw him chasing Wesley, did you see him do anything else to Wesley?
He made him cry.
Now, after that video, she continued posting saying, "This is not getting dropped and will remain to be fought in court. My son's nightmares are real. What Alex said she saw is real. The trauma my son deals with emotionally is real, and I still stand with the kid no matter what he do. David was recording my son, and I had no clue my son would get scared and take it back. This is a lot to deal with for my family, and I'm extremely sad that I had to come on here and do this because I'm not dropping stuff. I'm still going to work with the police. I will still stand and fight for my kid." But baby, that was not the end of it. Things really came crashing down on FTN Bay's side after Doodie Lo hopped on Instagram posting some documents of what seemed to be an interview the court had with FTN Bay and her son Wesley in regards to what seems to be a case against Doodie Lo, whose real name is David, as you can see on the documents. But the details we're about to read are definitely going to shock you because a lot of what has to say will be lies that are seemingly told by FTN Bay's son. And so we'll go over the highlighted parts and talk about the incident. So in this first page, it shows that the judge said, "I'm declining this case because there's not a reasonable likelihood of conviction." So this first highlighted part after the decline of the case goes into talking about Wesley, talking about pulling the screws out of his rear end, and of course evidence that was posted to evidence.com. And in this document it says, "I viewed them on evidence.com. The doctor at the hospital examined the victim and said that there was no sign of any physical trauma to the victim's anus. There were x-rays done which revealed that there were no foreign objects or metal debris present, and the doctors noted that there was nothing abnormal and the victim was healthy." Then it goes to talking about the actual nails being tested, saying the nails were tested for potential corroborating evidence since the allegations were that they had been inserted into the victim's anus. The report in the file concludes that there was no sort of serological evidence found on the nails, meaning that there was no human feces found on any of the nails. Now in the rest of the highlighted parts on this page, it says the victim participated in a forensic interview and asked if he knew how to do simple things like spell his name, which he said no. Then in the highlighted part, it says the interviewer asked him if someone hurt him, and he replied, "David, he's bad. He put 3 screws tied up in my bottom and it felt not good. My mom wasn't home. She was getting her hair done." She then asked him if anyone told him what to say, talking about the interview and at the interview, and he replied, "Only my mom." He said his mom told him because she knew what the subject, meaning Doodie Lowe, had did. Now throughout the rest of this interview that's not being highlighted, the interviewer actually asked Wesley different things like what his name was, how old he was, if he knew how to spell his name, when his birthday was, and then all of that information he would get wrong, then he would get right, then he'd go back to being wrong, so nothing was adding up in what he was saying. But then in the rest of the highlighted parts, the interviewer says, he told me that his mom let him stay home by himself a lot of times, and he's allowed to use the stove to cook when he is alone. He then described to me how he makes macaroni and cheese on the stove when he's home alone. Then he told me that his birthday was, and it's covered out, and that he's now 6, which goes back to him telling him he was different ages, because he kept saying that he was 9, then he said he was 6, and he said he was 8, and so on. In the last page of the document, it says there's no legal way to prove what happened in this case. The only evidence of anything happening in testimony of the now 6-year-old victim, who cannot describe the incident with any detail or consistency, who initially denied anything criminal occurred, and who stated that his mom told him what to say. The same child has also stated that his mom frequently leaves him home alone and lets him cook on the stove. When I told her what he told me about that, she said it was a lie and said that she does not leave him home and that he does not use the stove. So overall, in these documents, it's really proving that FTN Bay seemingly did tell Wesley what to say in regards to this interview, and that Wesley was lying about the whole situation, and that Doodie Lowe is telling the truth, especially given the fact that he had his lie detector test. So socialites, this is a lot to say. This confession from Wesley, which again is FTN Bay's son, was a whole lot. So what do y'all think about this? Let us know in the comment section down below. As always, make sure you like us on Facebook, you're following us on Instagram, and you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, because now you know what's trending.